It is another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the 6 films released on December 18th, 2009, the penultimate weekend of 2009, the week before Christmas, and like I said, we got 6 big new releases, a lot of awards contenders here, but let's not waste any more time and just get right to the big new release of the weekend. One of the more anticipated movies that came out at the end of the decade. And James Cameron, 12 years after he broke box office records with Titanic, he returns for the scripted project here, and one that he says is a groundbreaking achievement. And okay, it's groundbreaking in some areas, but not where you think it would be. We'll get to that as we go along here. This is, of course, Avatar.
This is great.
So the story of Avatar is that it's set in the mid-22nd century where humans are colonizing Pandora, which is a lush, habitable moon of a gas planet in the Alpha Centauri star system. In order to mine the valuable mineral unobtainium, the expansion of the mining colony threatens the continued existence of a local tribe called the Na'vi, who are a humanoid species indigenous to Pandora. The title of the film refers to a genetically engineered Na'vi body operated from the brain of a remotely located human that is used to interact with the natives of Pandora. One of them is being played by Sam Worthington. You also have a cast that includes Stephen Lang, Michelle Rodriguez, Sigourney Weaver, Joel David Moore, and Zoe Saldana as one of the Na'vi. But yeah, the film overall was one of those movies that, when it came out, it was definitely one of those movies similar to Titanic. It was a film that had a lot of money behind it. It was supposed to be the beginning of this new groundbreaking 3D technology. I mean, the whole idea of digital 3D wouldn't have even existed pretty much without this movie in general. They were doing it, I know they were doing it years before that, but this was the first, they were making this movie well into like the mid-2000s, before digital 3D became kind of the norm in general. But I mean, this is a movie that James Cameron put a lot of time and effort into it, and this is definitely one of those movies that I really do go back and forth on a lot. Like most people, when I saw it back then in 2009, I did like it, but in the years after its release, that legacy and that groundbreaking aspect of the film kind of immediately went away, and about 6 years after it came out, I was really questioning whether or not did the movie really have that much of a lasting impact at all? I mean, yeah, it was a box office hit, and did eventually go on to surpass Titanic as the highest-grossing movie of all time up until The Force Awakens came out 6 years later. But did it really have that much of a lasting impact? It felt like after 6 years, that buzz and all that memorability of it kind of went away in general, and mostly because it took a long time to get the sequels coming out, and we didn't get the sequels until 13 years after this movie came out. So that should tell you that that should tell you how I was feeling about the lasting impact of this going forward. But it proved to be successful enough for Disney to say, we want our own Pandora inside of Animal Kingdom. I mean, that Animal Kingdom is not a place that a lot of people go to, and sure enough, that's one of the big new things they've added as of late. And I'm not a big Animal Kingdom person in particular, but when we went down to Disney, when I think it was like a year or so after this opened, I was actually really impressed with the amount of people in there, impressed by the area. But then again, it's Disney. I mean, you go in there, you're going to have a lot of people there and pleased with what they're seeing. They're paying a lot of money to be down there, so you better damn well impress them. And there has been a legacy built for this since then. So yeah, it has found its legacy overall. It mostly just comes down to the sequels getting promised and promised for years, and they kept getting delayed. And honestly, if Disney hadn't bought Fox in 2017, I think we'd still be waiting for the sequels. They'd be like the Duke Nukem of movie sequels, and it's just like, they keep saying it's going to happen, and when it finally comes out, it's a very underwhelming movie that doesn't deliver on everything it promises. And seeing as how, we just had The Way of Water a couple years ago, and this year we're going to have Fire and Ash, the third film, I mean, does it hold up? And I will say, for the most part, it kind of does. I mean, the visuals of it still do hold up after all these years, and really, they're the best thing about this movie. Pandora, I think, is just an amazing-looking world in general. Very stylized, very unique, very immersive. It is a really impressive movie, and impressive world that we're looking at here. And I think the movie's biggest fault is the premise. It's the story. It's a story we've seen done over and over again. The natives going after the greedy villains who want nothing more than to be rich snobs. It's a story that has been done to death. You gotta have the big liar revealed scene where it's revealed that Sam Worthington is actually working for the bad guys, and Zoe Saldana, who had fallen in love with him, with the Sam Worthington Navi character, is just like, I trusted you. It's just like, come on, man. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense overall. It's just like, the third act breakup, and yeah, I just criticize Zoe Saldana on that, but just to be so distraught and devastated when the truth comes out, it's fine, though, but we've seen this done so many times. It's not shocking or enjoyable whatsoever, and yeah, the biggest fault of it is the script. The script overall is the weakest part. It's basically what everyone was making fun of it for. Dances with Smurfs. I mean, I'll never forget the South Park episode where, Cartman was getting on Wendy's nerves so much, and Cartman made that documentary about the Smurf. It's about living with the Smurfs, and then Wendy said, I've already made a better version of it. It's in theaters now, and it's called Avatar, and Cartman goes to the movie theater, and he's just coming out like, you sons of bitches, you stole my idea! My idea! And, it's a great episode. It's a really funny episode overall, and yeah, it was a right parody of Avatar. It was the best parody you could do with it overall. But, this is a weird movie for me to talk about overall in terms of, I've criticized a lot of movies where the visuals are easily a whole lot better than the actual movie. Yeah, I always said it. Visuals don't always make the movie. This and The Way of Water may be the one rare exception, I would say. The visuals, I think, are more than enough to salvage the film along. Kind of like with The Way of Water, too, which I kind of felt the same way. The story, the scripting overall in these movies are not really all that strong. I mean, The Way of Water was just literally the same movie that this one was. I mean, they didn't really do anything new or groundbreaking with it, but the visuals overall are very groundbreaking. That's the one thing I'll give these movies. The visuals... These movies have gorgeous visuals to it, and on a 4K screen, like an HD screen or on the big screen, it makes it worth the watch on that film. So I guess I got to give it that overall, but I still think Avatar is a good movie. Not a great movie. It's a decent movie. It's a very flawed movie, mostly on the scripting overall, but the visuals I think really are enough to carry the load on it. I think it is a film that is one that still makes it hold up after all these years, but at the same time, the scripting really could have been a whole lot better to make this stand out more, and I was really hoping that The Way of Water was going to improve on the story, but didn't really do that per se, so hopefully we'll get that fixed up in Fire and Ash, but I'm not holding my breath on that one. I'm actually kind of surprised that this is coming out, we're recording this on May 27th, and when Way of Water came out, we already had a trailer out for Way of Water when the Bob's Burgers movie came out 3 years ago, and God, it's already been 3 years since the Bob's Burgers movie came out. I just realized that, but I actually am kind of surprised we haven't gotten a teaser for The Way of Water. I thought we'd get one with Lilo and Stitch or something like that, but I don't know. Maybe they're waiting for Fantastic Four to come out to put the trailer out there. I don't think they're going to put one out in front of Elio, but anyway, yeah. But by the time you're watching this later on down the road, it probably won't even matter. You probably won't even remember what Elio was or Fantastic Four. I hope not. I hope they turn out to be good, but anyway, that is Avatar. Good movie. I mean, it has a lot of groundbreaking visuals, but it needs a lot of help in the scripting department, so So let's go ahead and take a look at the movies that had the balls and the audacity to take on Avatar. Here's their biggest competition of all. It's not the greedy villains who want nothing more than money. No. It's Hugh Grant and Sarah Jessica Parker in a shitty comedy.
Okay, where are we on the star file?
You can buy and name a star, Merrill. It's $75, and you get a celestial map and a certificate.
Yes, I was really looking for something a little more impressive. Can I buy a constellation?
I don't know. You can buy a black hole.
So I'm not sure a black hole sends exactly the right message at this point in the relationship.
You have to stop sending things. It's just getting very awkward.
I understand, I will. I just have one more little thing. Dr. Tobin is apparently the best marriage counselor in the city, and the learners recommended her.
They've been divorced for a year.
They have, but the one thing they do agree on is how much they love Dr. Tobin. Do you still love me at all?
I don't know if I can love you a little.
I can get by on a little less love for a while. Maybe years.
I'm sorry. I have to go. There's my client. What's he doing in the...
Did you hear about the Morgans? This guy's still out there. I recommend you both enter the witness relocation program.
What? I can't commit to spending the rest of my life with my husband. I know exactly how you feel.
Comedy.
Boy, what a way to end a lackluster year for some really bad comedies. We had some good comedies in there, but there was a lot of terrible movies. And just like how we started the year with films like Bride Wars and New in Town, here's another movie that you've seen done to death before. Did you hear about the Morgans? Or what it should be called, do you remember the movie For Richer or Poorer? You don't? Cool, we're going to make this then. I mean, I'm pretty sure that was the pitch whenever Mark Lawrence, the director of this, went to Columbia Pictures. And it's just like, so do you guys remember that Tim Allen, Kirstie Alley movie For Richer or Poorer? And the studio executives were like, what did you say? And probably Mark Lawrence was just like, oh, nothing. Here's my idea that's refreshing and totally new and never has been done before. Stop me if you've heard this plot before. Hugh Grant and Sarah Jessica Parker play a couple who is a power couple in New York City on the verge of divorce until they witness the murder of a client from Sarah Jessica Parker's character, and they enter the temporary witness protection program, given new identities, and relocated to a small Wyoming town. Yeah, it's For Richer or Poorer all over again, except Tim Allen and Kirstie Alley are far too busy to be involved in this. So let's get Hugh Grant and Sarah Jessica Parker, two people who have no chemistry whatsoever. I mean, good lord, this movie is awful. I mean, everything that you would think that would come from a movie like this is in here. It's lame comedy, wasted by a lot of good people involved in here. I mean, terrible lines in particular. Like one of them is like the one line I always remember that I always hated was when she's talking to the mayor. Is Hugh Grant and Sarah Jessica Parker talking to the mayor and his wife, played by Sam Elliott and Mary Steenburgen. Great actors, but even they can't save the material given to them. Like Sarah Jessica Parker's talking to them and saying like, "Oh, I'm a member of PETA, people for the ethical treatment of animals," and Mary Steenburgen goes like, "Well, I'm also for PETA too, people for eating tasty animals." Don't even bother, comedy guy. This is not your fight here. Yeah, the comedy in here is god awful. I mean, this is a terrible movie. I mean, if they did something new or different with it, then maybe it could have worked, but it's literally the same plot as For Richer or Poorer. It's literally the same story. Tim Allen and Kirstie Alley in that movie were a New York City power couple who were about to separate, and then they got involved in this big thing where the IRS was going after them, so they have to go out to Amish country, and it's literally the same goddamn story, except not in Amish country. No, we got to shed into Wyoming, and we got to have a murder be the incident here, and they're going to be chased by Michael Kelly of all people, and yeah, just another bad example of just how bad this movie is. The comedy in here, like I said, is so terrible. It even has the nerve and the audacity for when the killer actually comes into town. You see that there's a horse costume running around, and so there's going to be a point where Hugh Grant and Sarah Jessica Parker have to go inside of there. And you would think that this movie would be smart enough not to do so, but no. There's literally a scene where they're just like, oh, we're never going to wear that. And then later on down in the movie, you see them in the goddamn horse costume. See, look what you did. You killed the comedy guy. Like I told him to back down, but it's just like, even he doesn't want anything to do with this garbage anymore. Like, if you have to throw in the fucking horse costume to get your lazy laughs out of this, you have failed as a movie in general. I could not believe this was made by the same guy that made Miss Congeniality, 2 Weeks Notice, Music and Lyrics. Like, this isn't a hack writer either, but a hack director either. But lo and behold, as soon as this movie came out, his career went tumbling down because he followed this up with stuff like The Rewrite, and more recently, the Anna Kendrick Disney Christmas comedy Noelle, which was really not that good. It was a really bad movie, and yeah, this is the prime example of what happens when you're trying to go. You know that your movie is bad, and so you don't want to put it out there on a date that you actually believe it in. So just put it out underneath one of the biggest holiday release of the year, and just say that, well, it's not our fault the movie failed. It was behind Avatar. Like, we couldn't do anything about it, even though we're the people that put it there. And it's just like. Yeah, what more do you got to say about this? Did you hear about the Morgans? It should be. Did you hear how terrible this movie is? Or you've seen, or the better question is, you've seen this movie before, haven't you? Yeah, if you've seen other comedies like this, and it just isn't worth it, man. It's absolutely pointless. There's nothing about it that works. Hugh Grant, Sarah Jessica Parker, Sam Elliott, Mary Steenburgen, Elizabeth Moss, and Wilford Brimley deserve a lot better than this pile of garbage. Just the perfect way to cap off a very lackluster year for these lame comedies. Like I said, we've had a lot of good comedies come out this year. Some ones that are big hits, some that are ones you have to seek and find out, like Ghost of Girlfriend's Past and Whip It, among many others. But this one is definitely in that category of stuff like Bride Wars, New in Town, Old Dogs, just really, really bad comedies that you should definitely avoid like the plague. So yeah, that's Did You Hear About the Morgans? And let's go ahead and move on to some Oscar contenders now, because clearly Did You Hear About the Morgans wasn't going to be one. Probably got some Razzie nominations, but not Oscars. That's for damn sure. But let's take a look at Emily Blunt in the awards contender, The Young Victoria.
Based on a true story. Who controls the younger most? Who controls England? Of the young woman who ruled an empire. You will sign this order.
I will not!
How dare you! And the passion that ruled her life.
Do you ever feel like a chess piece in a game being played against your will?
Do you?
You don't recommend I find a husband to play it for me?
Not fully. With you. Emily Blunt is The Young Victoria. Rated PG. Now playing in select theaters.
You bitch! That's what I was expecting when the guy was told by Emily Blunt she's not signing the paper. He's just like, you bitch! Like, I'm sorry, I had to laugh at that the first time I saw that. It's just like, I mean, what an over-the-top reaction that for a film that's supposed to be historically accurate of the story of Queen Victoria. I mean, stuff like that is really, really stupid, but it doesn't overall ruin the ebb and flow of the movie. This is a story about the early life and reign of Queen Victoria, played by Emily Blunt, and her marriage to Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, played by Rupert Friend. You also have a cast that includes Paul Bettany, Miranda Richardson, Harriet Waller, Mark Strong, Jim Broadbent, directed by Jean-Marc Vallée, who would later go on to direct Wild, Reese Witherspoon, the late Jean-Marc Vallée, who died in 2021 after, Wild was a really good movie overall, and this was a good movie too. It's written by Julian Fellows, who would later find success the year later with Downton Abbey. Yeah, this is a really good movie. It's a period piece movie. It delivers what you expect it to, but the writing overall really is good. And yeah, I've made fun of the acting in here, how over the top it can be, but the performances overall really are very impressive stuff here. Like, it's a really, really impressively put together movie. Emily Blunt really shows she's got charisma as a leading actress. I was actually kind of surprised she did not get an Oscar nomination for Best Actress here. The film did get some Oscar nominations, but Best Actress was not one that that wasn't there. But the performances overall here are really good. The writing overall is really good. It doesn't pull this, Oscar baitish type of territory where you can just tell that it's just begging for those Oscars overall. They're trying to make a really good movie here, and I think they very much succeeded overall. I think it's a really good movie. It's definitely one you want to check out. Another one of those underrated little gems you kind of forget about when it came out, but it's definitely one worth checking out. I think it's a very good film overall. I like it. The Young Victoria. And speaking of underrated movies, this one definitely is one of my favorite underrated movies of the year. This one I'm really looking forward to talking about this one here. Let's talk about the latest film from director Rob Marshall, and that is 9.
Directing a movie is a very overrated job. We all know it. You just have to say yes and no. What else do you do? Nothing. Maestro, should this be red? Yes. Green? No. More extras? Yes. More lipstick? No. Yes, no. Yes, no. It's directing.
Be Italian. Take a chance and try to steal a fiery kiss. Be Italian. Be Italian. When you hold me, don't just hold me, but hold this.
World-class liar, darling. Go out there and lie richly. Lie for Italia.
Man, talk about a movie that severely got overlooked big time. I mean, this film... Well, first off, let's get the big thing right out of the gate. The fact that this is now the second movie in 2009 with the title of 9. The other being the animated movie from Focus Features, which is pretty good too, but... Man, I really love the hell out of this movie. I think it's a really damn good movie, directed by Rob Marshall. The story here is that you have a director, Guido Contini, played by Daniel Day-Lewis, who's facing a midlife crisis that is stifling his creativity and leads him into a variety of complicated romantic involvements. As he struggles to complete his latest film, he's forced to balance the numerous formative women in his life, including his wife Louisa, played by Marion Cotillard, his mistress, played by Penelope Cruz, very, very good in this movie. I mean, not just good, but damn, just she is sexy in this movie, man. They all are in this movie, honestly. All the women are. Her film star muse, Claudia, played by Nicole Kidman, his confidant and costume designer, Judi Dench, an American fashion journalist, played by Kate Hudson, a prostitute from his youth, played by Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas, and his mother, played by Sophia Loren, who still looks pretty good after all these years. Like, it's been a long time since we've seen Sophia Loren in a movie, and she was looking still pretty good around that time. In fact, she might still be looking pretty good at her old age, but yeah, this is a movie that I really, really loved. I mean, I remember when Rotten Tomatoes had the consensus out on this, and it said, it has a game, great-looking cast, led by the always worthwhile Daniel Day-Lewis, but Rob Marshall's 9 is chaotic and curiously distant. And I could not disagree more with that last statement. Chaotic and curiously distinct. I really do love the hell out of this movie. I mean, I would actually go as far as to say that this is probably my second favorite movie musical with Chicago in general. I mean, I'd have to double check that. I mean, I wrote this review back in 2009, so maybe I just need to rewatch it. Maybe I need to just think about it again, because we've had so many good musicals since then, a lot of good musicals since then. Maybe I wouldn't put this as my second favorite movie musical, but yeah, I mean, it definitely would be in the top 10, honestly. It'd be right up there with stuff like Grease and Moulin Rouge and also Wicked. I mean, a lot of good musicals. I actually would have to think about it, though. Would it still be in there? But it's definitely very high up there. I think it's definitely a whole lot better than people give it credit for. I mean, the movie overall really is good. The cast overall is top-notch. Like I said, Daniel Day-Lewis, Marion Cotillard, Penelope Cruz, Fergie. I actually thought were the stronger parts of the movie. Kate Hudson was really good. Nicole Kidman, Judi Dench, and Sophia Loren. It has a great cast overall. You could tell that it was inspired by, Federico Fellini's 8.5 in general, because this was based off of a Broadway play that was originally taken from the inspiration from Federico I'm losing my... Toy Boat. Moving too fast here. Federico Fellini's 8.5, and it is an impressive film overall. I was actually kind of surprised that Penelope Cruz, of all people, was the only one who got the Oscar nomination for this overall. And, I mean, yeah, she's really good in the movie, but I really think it was mostly because she had just won the Oscar the year before for Vicky Cristina Barcelona. But, I mean, I really dug the hell out of this movie, man. Like, you know, the film was kind of trash for the musical numbers. They were saying that they were horribly edited overall. And all I can really say is, where were these horrible edits you were talking about? Because, yeah, the ones that really stood out to me were, of course, Fergie singing Be Italian. You hear it in that trailer there. Kate Hudson does a very good version of Cinema Italiano. Penelope Cruz with the Call from the Vatican song when she comes in for the first time. I mean, that's a moment that just sticks with you, man. I mean, but then again, it's Penelope Cruz in Sexy Lingerie singing pretty good. I mean, this really was a really good film that I just did not get where all this hatred was coming from, honestly. I mean, it's a movie that I think is definitely a whole lot better than most people give it credit for. It's a film that I honestly think is one of the better movie musicals out there. And it is a really damn good movie. Everybody is playing their parts very well. It really is Rob Marshall's second best film behind Chicago. I think it is definitely one of his best movies overall. And a fitting way to end the decade, because he made my favorite musical in Chicago, and this is definitely right up there with some of his best stuff and some of the best musicals out there. It's a terrific film. I can't recommend it enough. Definitely give it a second chance, because it is a movie that definitely deserves a lot more praise than it got early on. I think it's a terrific film. It deserves more attention. 9, I highly recommend it. It's definitely one of my favorite films of the year, no question about it. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is Jeff Bridges and his Oscar-winning performance in Crazy Heart.
What's your real name?
I'm Bad Blight. My tombstone will have my real name on it. Until then, I'm just gonna stay bad. The Wall Street Journal, Newsweek, and Rolling Stone are raving about 4-time Academy Award nominee Jeff Bridges in the performance of a lifetime. He is phenomenal. It could bring Jeff Bridges his first Oscar.
Never too late, son. Never too late.
Witness a great actor at the peak of his form. So good to be home. Crazy Heart, rated R, in select theaters December 16th.
It's quite fitting that Robert Duvall is in here, because, of course, Robert Duvall won his first Academy Award for Tender Mercies back in 1983, which is very much similar to this particular movie. I mean, it has a very similar storyline here, but it's mostly based off of the life of country singer Hank Thompson, following the story of Bridges as an alcoholic country singer and songwriter who tries to turn his life around after beginning a relationship with a young journalist played by Maggie Gyllenhaal. You also have Colin Farrell among the cast here as well. This is directed by Scott Cooper, who would later go on to direct stuff like Black Mass. And this fall, he's got the Bruce Springsteen biopic, Deliver Us From Nowhere. And, yeah, this is a really good movie. It's a story that we've seen kind of done before, but it really is a film that does showcase a lot of Jeff Bridges' true talents overall. I do like I don't know if if I had to say, like, this is a movie where he got an Academy Award nomination for this. Actually, I am trying to think. What else has he been nominated for? Of course, that trailer came out in 2009. He's actually been nominated several other times for stuff like The Last Picture Show, Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, Starman, The Contender, True Grit, Hell or High Water. I mean, if I had to pick the best overall performance of those 7, I think True Grit really is the strongest one of the bunch. Even though I do like The Last Picture Show and Starman and Hell or High Water. And I do like this one a lot. I was thinking maybe that this is probably one of those ones where they're basically giving it to him because of his, acting repertoire, and not just the fact that he gave a good performance in here, which they probably could have done here in general. I don't know. I can't remember who else was nominated in this category that I would probably say is better than him. You have George Clooney for Up in the Air, which he was good in that one. Morgan Freeman and Invictus, but then again, it was basically Morgan Freeman being Morgan Freeman. He looked like Nelson Mandela. And Jeremy Renner for The Hurt Locker, along with Colin Firth. So, yeah, maybe he was the best overall performance in that category in general. I think George Clooney would have been a close second, but I just think Jeff Bridges is the one who definitely deserves it. You also have a good song in The Weary Kind, which also won the Oscar for Best Original Song. Yeah, it's a movie that is very much a familiar setup in general, but it works because the performances are so good, and you do get captivated in the storyline of this character in general, and it helps with Jeff Bridges being a main focus of the storyline, being the main guy there, giving one of the stronger performances of his career in general. it's hard to believe that this was originally going to be a direct-to-video release. I think Paramount Vantage actually was the ones that were going to put it out direct-to-DVD, and then Fox Searchlight basically picked it up, and the rest is history. I mean, so this performance probably doesn't even get nominated if Paramount puts it out on DVD at this point. Basically, pull a nice cue with janky promoters, except this is a far better movie than janky promoters is. But anyway, Crazy Heart's a pretty good movie overall. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to the last one we have here, and that is A Town Called Panic.
Bientôt au cinéma. Préparez-vous pour un spectacle décoiffant.
Petite douche. Haleine bien fraîche.
Plus terrifiant que Psychose. Plus impressionnant que la tour infernale.
Oh non!
Plus romantique que la leçon de piano.
Comment vous faites de la musique?
Ah, good old crazy, over-the-top, stop-motion animated masterpiece. I mean, this pretty much is kind of like that in general. So you have a story here about animated plastic toys like cowboys, Indians, and horses having problems too. Cowboys and Indians plan to surprise horse with a homemade birthday gift backfiring when they destroy their house instead. Surreal adventures take over as the trio travels to the center of the earth, trek around frozen tundra, and discover a parallel underwater universe where pointy-head and dishonest creatures live. Will panic a permanent feature of life in this papier-mâché town? Will Horse and his girlfriend ever be alone? Will this movie make any goddamn sense for you to understand it? Probably not, but hey, they reminded me a lot of Twice Upon a Time, one of my favorite movies of all time, and yeah, this is a film that I was actually really impressed at how much I really liked it. This is actually based off of a Belgian series of the same name, but yeah, it's a movie that works because the stop-motion animation and just the fact that it goes incredibly insane in parts where you don't think it needs to, and yet it kind of does. And it really does kind of make it work overall. It's a very ridiculous movie, but the animation overall is really good, and it really does make it worth it to watch in the long run. I think it's a terrific film. Very, very bizarre, very strange, but if you like that style of entertainment, like I said, if you like Twice Upon a Time, you're going to love the hell out of this. This is one that I highly recommend checking out, even if you've never seen the original series. You don't really need to in this case, but it is definitely worth the watch. So, anyway, that is A Town Called Panic. And so, on that note, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies, and the next time we meet, we go ahead and wrap up not just 2009, but the first decade of the 21st century. We've got the final 4 movies opening Christmas Day 2009, and we have Robert Downey Jr. starring alongside Jude Law and Guy Ritchie's version of Sherlock Holmes. Alvin and the Chipmunks are back in a sequel to their 2007 live-action feature with one of the worst goddamn titles you ever hear in your life, The Squeakquel. And we also have Steve Martin, Alec Baldwin, and Meryl Streep in a very bizarre but very funny love triangle in It's Complicated. And last but not least, we have Terry Gilliam's The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, which was one of Heath Ledger's last movies and features performances by Colin Farrell, Jude Law, and Johnny Depp playing the role that Heath Ledger would have played in that movie. So the final 4 films of 2009, the final 4 films of a very impressive decade of films overall. We're going to finish up the year, we're going to finish up the decade, and then we're going to be heading into a brand new decade this coming Thursday. So good times all around here. So with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit that playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And also don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, the notification button, and the bell so you get updates on when new videos come out. And we do post new videos here every day. So with all that said, I am off. I'll see you guys next time. And until then, as always, take care.